bonds has been falling steadily in recent weeks as traders shift money into bonds. The Dow lost 259 points today to close at 34,421. The Nasdaq was down 105 to 14,559. The S&P 500 dropped 37 points to 4,320. New York oil rose 74 cents, closing at $72.94 a barrel. With business, I'm John Scott.
News and analysis at townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters in Washington.
Are you worn out from wall-to-wall political talk? Instead of hearing more about the stuff in Washington that's mostly out of your control, I'll give you the tools to actually take control of your money and your life. Dave Ramsey here. Join me right here on The Point. I'm live and taking your calls weekdays at 2 p.m. I'll teach you how to get on a written plan that actually works, get out of debt, and build wealth. Weekdays at 2 p.m. The Dave Ramsey Show at 100.7 The Point.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, fireplaces. Summer sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point. Ooh, you shouldn't have pressed that button. Oh. Now you get this.
This is Sports Talk with Phil Kornblum, Chris Bergen, and Pat Daniel. Sports Talk is heard across the state on radio affiliates of the Sports Talk Media Network and is streaming live on sportstalksc.com, as well as Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. The South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number to call in is 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now, here are Phil, Chris, and Pat with tonight's edition of Sports Talk.
All right, welcome in, everybody. Welcome in. It's Sports Talk on a Thursday night. Good to have you with us. Phil Kornblum, Chris Bergen, Brandon Alter in for the vacationing Pat Daniel. Our phone number, 888-898-2525. South Carolina Education Lottery, lucky number. Hope you made it through the storm okay last night. Where I lived, it wasn't too bad. Didn't really notice anything except it was, overcast, a little breezy. Got some rain overnight, but nothing major in my neck of the woods. How about you, Chris, down there in the PD? How did Bergen Manor hold up through the rain and the wind?
We've got tons of leaves in the yard. No, actually, it wasn't bad at all. We got much needed rain. I guess it started raining late last night, early this morning, and stopped here, about 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock. And actually, as I look outside now, we've got sunny skies. You wouldn't have known that a tropical storm passed by, or depression, whatever it was, when it hit the PD earlier today. My guess is from Jacksonville up through Georgia, probably got it much worse than we did.
Yeah, and it's moving on up the coast, and I think folks in New York are expecting to have some issues from it. So I say good luck to them. We dodged another bullet here in South Carolina when it comes to the tropical storms and hurricanes. The only problem is we know there are more to come, and you're going to be lucky sometimes, and a lot of times you're not going to be lucky. So cross our fingers and hope for the best. We have got a tremendous sports talk for you tonight. Mike Morgan will be here at 6:35. Sure, he's got a lot to say about some things going on with the Braves, who have the night off before going to Miami this weekend to close out their scheduled pre-All-Star game. And really, they are a team that's been treading water all season. Win a few, lose a little more, win a few, lose a little more. Can't get above that 500 mark. And we'll talk with Mike about that, and also his early reaction to NIL, which is now a week old, right? Or 1 week into this new phase of life in college sports. I saw where the Sweeney boys, and once again, Dabo Sweeney taking some heat, I guess, on Twitter. Yeah, that's the problem with Twitter and social media. You see one or two people post things, you think the whole world is ganging up on you, when it's really just a very, small number. But the old Sweeney boys there have signed up with some outfit to, sell underwear or, socks or tea. It's, the funny thing to me, Chris, about this whole deal is how these kids, they think just because they put their name or their number or their logo that they've created, somebody created a logo for them, they slap that on a T-shirt or some underwear or something. That underwear, I've seen more underwear companies come out of the woodworks with NIL in the last week that I never even heard of. I mean, Fruit of the Loom and Hanes has always worked for me, and occasionally, Jockey. But seriously, they think just by slapping their name on there, or their logo, or their face, or whatever, all of a sudden, the riches are going to start pouring in.
And in regards to Dabo Sweeney's sons, both Drew and Will, aren't they only profiting basically off of their name? I don't know how much image and likeness is going to play in here. The only reason you know of them is because of their father, but I have to give them some credit. The company that they've at least signed on to, their brand is going to be Holder U, which is a nod to Will, who's been the Clemson starting placeholder since 2017. I'll give them some credit there, but you're right. I'm sure this will conjure up the thoughts of Dabo Sweeney saying he would do something else if the athletes ever started to get paid. I'm sure he'd love to walk that back. That's a quote that's going to live with him forever now. Anytime anybody from Clemson starts to make a little bit off the name, image, and likeness. And as I mentioned earlier this week, none of us saw this coming when Dabo made those comments. And I'm sure Dabo meant if the universities directly paid them, but that's not what he said. And so he's got to live with that. But, underwear, T-shirts, you name it. It's all fair game now, Phil.
Yes, it is. Yes,
it's a brave new world, my friend.
It is. I wish I'd have thought about it way back when. So anyway, Morgan will be along 6:35. Morgan on the move here on Sports Talk. And we have also got Kerry Rich, the captain, the former Gamecock basketball star. He's going to join us. Used to be a regular here on Sports Talk until he was stolen away by other media people. However, I've negotiated a very high price to have him join us tonight so he can promote the South Carolina Basketball Pro-Am, which will be getting underway, I think it's next week. This is a terrific basketball event in the state of South Carolina, if you haven't been paying attention, that Kerry started with a lot of help from people. And he's put together these teams made up of college and high school and pro basketball players from South Carolina and outside. And they put on quite a show. And he'll tell us all about it coming up tonight, a little bit after 7:30.
I don't know that there is a better ambassador for high school basketball in South Carolina than Kerry. Is there? I mean, he is always promoting high school basketball in our state. He's done such a terrific job with everything he has done, understanding that, hey, we're still viewed as a football state, but there's some really darn good basketball being played at the high school level. And I think Kerry does a tremendous job. Really looking forward to chatting with him about this because he's done this for years and years and years. And you're right, Phil, it starts on the 18th, which will be, next Saturday.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd love to sit in on a conversation, a dinner with Kerry and Frank Martin and hear them bemoan their fate of being basketball people in this state. I mean, you know how Frank Martin is. He bites his tongue as best he can. Sometimes he can't help himself. And, he knows where basketball falls in South Carolina, but I don't think he totally accepts it. He makes jokes about the starting or the backup left tackle and having more interest in that in the basketball team. And there's probably some truth to that, but to sit down and hear Martin and Kerry go back and forth and bemoan their place in life as basketball people in a football state be a lot of fun.
I think so, and I think you'd get some really good conversation. And Kerry's got some great resources and experience to draw upon. So, I think you're right. He and Frank Martin could sit there and write a book probably about how difficult it is to market basketball in a football state.
Yes, it is. It's not an easy sell, as we've seen. It's not an easy sell, either at South Carolina or Clemson, unless you're just having that great year and, your team is going to be an NCAA tournament team and make a run at your conference championship. It's a hard sell.
Well, and that's what frustrates me most about, and I love college basketball, and the frustrating thing about Clemson and South Carolina both with relative lack of success on the national stage. Yeah, Carolina had the great run to the Final Four. Clemson's been to an Elite Eight, Sweet 16, but nothing sustained. But then you turn around and you watch what the South Carolina women's basketball team has been able to do, Phil, in terms of their success and the amount of fans that come out and watch them play. And for the most part, the last several years, the Lady Gamecocks have outdrawn the men Gamecocks on the basketball floor, and understandably so because of how well they played. So there are basketball fans here in South Carolina. They are hidden under rocks because, for the most part, our teams, and I use this collective, our teams here in the state, haven't given us a whole lot to get excited about. And if South Carolina and Clemson could put together several runs to the NCAA tournament, and not one here and 5 years down the road, another one, if they could sustain some success, I think you'd see both the Colonial Life Arena and Littlejohn just packed out every night, because people love college basketball when it comes to March. They had to start somewhere. They had to start watching and enjoying it somewhere. And I think part of the problem is the Gamecocks and Tigers just have not been able to give us that sustained success like our neighbors up north have with the Tar Heels and Blue Devils and those type guys.
Well, those schools in that state, a state which trails the state of South Carolina in so many ways.
Yes.
Education, wealth, beaches, Port City. I mean, when you compare South Carolina and North Carolina, for example, I like to go point by point. We have the better Port City. I'll take Charleston over Wilmington. We have the better capital city. I'll take Columbia over Raleigh.
Oh gosh, yes.
We have the better statewide sports talk show. I'll take ours over David Glenn's or anybody else they got in North Carolina.
The only thing they've got over
what
us
else are we good at?
The only thing they've got over us are the mountains. North Carolina mountains, a beautiful part
Well,
of the
now,
country.
have you ever driven up South Carolina 11?
I have.
Yeah, that's beautiful up there.
Oh, no doubt. But I will give, if you're rating mountain ranges, the portion of the Appalachians that they have up in North Carolina, I think trump ours. But aside from that, yeah, I totally agree. That's the reason I got out of North Carolina as quickly as I could.
Yeah, they don't have anything on us, but they do love their basketball, and they have made basketball their thing. And the North Carolina Duke rivalry in particular in basketball is pretty darn special, but their football passion isn't what it is here. And Mac Brown's trying to change that, and he's doing a pretty good job of convincing Tar Heelians to stay in their state and play football there. He's done a nice job, and you cannot discount North Carolina this year with Sam Howell. I mean, they got a chance with a special quarterback to be, really, really good and challenge Clemson in the ACC. But I mean,
the best quarterback in the ACC.
Is he the best quarterback in the ACC?
Yes.
Well, you'd have to say he's the best returning quarterback. Now, how's he going to stand up compared to Tagovailoa over the long haul? We've only seen Tagovailoa in limited spurts, and when we've seen him, he's been pretty doggone good.
Uyunglele, aren't you? Instead of
Yeah.
Tagovailoa.
I'm sorry. Yeah,
I can promise you, Tua is probably a better quarterback than Sam Howell.
Yeah,
and he's making a lot more money.
Uyunglele. But what impresses me is how I said the name Tagovailoa.
I was impressed
When I even used it in the wrong place. Yeah. Uyunglele. I tell you, it's tough on the brain. DJ Uyunglele. We've only seen him in limited spurts, but when we've seen him, he's looked very good. But now we've seen Howell for extended period of time, and he's really, really good. So we'll see. We'll see what happens with North Carolina. They don't play Clemson in the regular season. Have to wait and see if they get in the ACC championship game. Phone number 888-898-2525. Recruiting news just happening a little while ago. Clemson target Jeremiah Alexander, the defensive end from Alabaster, Alabama, committed to Alabama. 2 misses for the Tigers today in recruiting. A full recruiting report coming up. 3 Gamecock targets to announce tomorrow. Tell you all about it later.
Welcome to Tiny Stories. Today we're with Sonia, who recently won $500 on a scratch-off.
I am such a loser.
I'm so confused.
Ever been to a family reunion?
Not if I can help it.
My dad's family rents a beach house every year. I've always said I can't afford to go.
Oh, I am so sorry.
I'm assigned a sleeping bag on the porch with cousins I've never met.
Been there. Even got the T-shirt.
You may be cousin Tina.
No. You know what? That's it for the South Carolina Education Lottery. Tell your story at tellyourtinystory.com.
We've got Major Billy Downer with us here from the Department of Natural Resources. Major Downer, hunting season is upon us. How do we stay safe in a field?
There are 3 rules that every hunter should follow when they're hunting with a firearm. Number 1, treat every firearm due to respect a loaded gun. If you treat your firearm as if it's loaded, you'll always, number 2, keep that muzzle pointed in a safe direction. And number 3, when you decide to pull the trigger, make sure of your target, identify it, and know what's beyond it in case you miss.
And remember, life's better outdoors. Visit dnr.sc.gov for more.
Want to know what people are saying about your company on social media? The Southeastern Institute of Manufacturing and Technology at Florence Darlington Technical College has technology to grow your business. Our social media listening center can monitor your company's online presence. From a startup in our incubator to Fortune 500 companies, we can help. For a tour of our facilities or a quote, call 866-304-7468. Learn more by visiting SIMT.com.
I've got a math question for you. When you add tolerance, subtract prejudice, and multiply efforts to treat one another with respect, what do you get? Less division. And school sports have it down to a science. Looking for an example of what can happen when we realize there's more that unites us than divides us? Look no further than high school sports in South Carolina.
This message presented by the South Carolina High School League and the South Carolina Athletic Administrators Association.
Founders is offering a low-rate mortgage with up to $4,000 in closing costs to full-time hospital employees, honoring your frontline efforts against COVID-19. With no PMI, no origination fee, and no limit on the loan amount, you can't go wrong. Visit founders.com/HEC and apply for your hospital employee choice mortgage today. Membership qualification required. Terms and conditions apply. Institution NMLS identifier number 410646. Founders is an equal housing lender and is federally insured by the NCUA.
The future of golf is waiting for you at the Players Club. Rain, shine, or after dark, you can enjoy the game of golf anytime at Columbia's Indoor Country Club. The Players Club delivers the most realistic golf experience and offers more than 90 championship courses. Play or practice with the same state-of-the-art full-swing simulators used by Tiger Woods and Jordan Spieth. Visit maincoursesc.com to book a bay and become a player today at the Players Club, part of the Main Course, 1626 Main Street in Columbia.
All right, we're back with you here on Sports Talk. I think I got my brain straightened out and in the right direction now. 888-898-2525, South Carolina Education Lottery. Lucky number here on Sports Talk. Get to your phone calls in just a second. And did you know that since 2002, more than $174 million in lottery proceeds have been used to purchase, maintain, and fuel over 2,000 school buses in South Carolina? Learn more about the South Carolina Education Lottery's impact at sceducationlottery.com/education wins. Playing for fun is a win for education. We've got the John Deere Classic taking place, always one of my favorite events. The winner, I guess, gets a John Deere tractor. At least he should. And tell you a funny story. So many years ago, I had an intern by the name of Ian Maripole. And long story short, he and K-Mac were interns together. Ian was from Boston. And so I was learning about him. And I said, Ian, tell me about your background. I mean, what your folks do? You come from money? What's your background? He goes, well, he's a very shy kid. Didn't want to say a whole lot. He goes, you ever heard of snapper lawnmowers? I said, yeah. And he started pointing at himself. And I said, your family is snapper lawnmowers? He goes, yeah. And my grandfather started snapper lawnmowers, snapper tools, snapper lawnmowers. Grandmother lived on one Snapper Lane in Jonesboro, Georgia. So I said, Ian, you want a job here? Just produce a snapper riding lawnmower for the corn, and you can have a job. So the next day he came in, he brought me a little 12-inch model of a snapper lawnmower. So
wow.
Yeah.
Nice. That's really cool.
Closest I've ever come to a snapper lawnmower. Those are great mowers.
Yes,
you still make them?
Gosh, that's a great question.
Yeah.
I haven't gone looking for a lawnmower in a long time.
Yeah. Well, that's because you hire out. You have a yard service, I'm sure.
Yeah, I need to.
Yeah.
Twice a week.
All right, let's go to Hank in Columbia. 888-898-2525, South Carolina Education Lottery. lucky number here on Sports Talk. Hank, good to have you with us tonight. What's on your mind?
Hey, Corn, I was just calling. I heard that y'all going to have Kerry Rich and a couple to talk about the Pro-Am.
Yes.
And the thing is, I think that I'm glad it's back. That has really been a kind of a staple that's added to the basketball for the basketball fans in the state over the last couple of years. You look at the finals, and I remember when Torrey Craig started to play in the Pro-Am, he wasn't even in the NBA. He was playing overseas. And he came back and he started to play. And then, of course, the guy from ESPN, Mark Jones' son, was playing. And so ESPN would get some of the coverage of the Pro-Am. And coming out of the Pro-Am, he got a tryout with Denver that ended up getting him a spot on the team and then eventually getting him a pretty good contract.
That's sweet. That's a sweet story.
So that's out of the Pro-Am. And then also remember seeing Chris Middleton play at the Pro-Am. He's played a little bit each year. But remember him coming in and before, I guess the starting days and playing in the Pro-Am, and some of the other players that come. So it's always a great time. I think the last Pro-Am they had before the pandemic closed, and this was right after it was maybe a month or so after the draft, and John Morant came back and watched because he had, his dad attends the Pro-Am pretty big, and he kind of walked around and met people and signed, and most, I knew John from earlier.
You know what it's time to
do?
You know what it's time to do, Hank? Hank, you know what it's time to do? It's time for Kerry to start up a women's Pro-Am.
Well, they had actually 1 year it wasn't Kerry though. They had a women's Pro-Am, I think a couple of years back, that Khadijah Sessions ran over at the gym across town, the SportsTalk gym. So they've had a female Pro-Am. A couple of places. They had it one time at the SportsTalk, and then they had a female Pro-Am over at Cardinal Newman High School 1 year when they did it. So they've already had that. But it's just interesting that the number of actual NBA players he's actually had that's played in that Pro-Am is kind of made it a bigger thing when it was just providing something more for the basketball fans to whet their appetite during the summer. So I always congratulated him on that and wanted to give a big shout out for that.
Well, I tell you, Kerry, I've known him a long time. My relationship with Kerry goes back to his freshman year at Western Carolina when he was the Southern Conference Freshman of the Year out of C.A. Johnson, and he was ready to make a move. He wanted to go bigger, and, word got out that he was looking to transfer, so I started communicating with him. Following that, and he ended up at South Carolina, eventually playing for Eddie Fogler. And, his talents were excellent. They don't call him the captain for nothing. He really ran that team on the floor, good distributor, good shooter. And what he's doing now, Hank, I'm sure you're aware, he is really trying to revive a bunch of conversation about the history of high school basketball and the top talent that's come out of Columbia. Yeah, they're really doing a great job of bringing that back to the attention.
I keep up with that Lost Letterman, the podcast and the different folks, because a lot of those guys, I remember when they were actually playing in high school. I actually remember Kerry when he was playing in high school. So I think your co-host kind of said it right. I think if you get a good sustained product, I think you would have all the fans you need for men's basketball in the state. Because if you go back, there was somebody that put a video out of one of the state championship games that was in the old Coliseum. I think when Irma with Marvin Orange, those played Eau Claire. And if you remember when Eau Claire and Lower Richmond were nationally ranked, remember those games, high school games were played at the Coliseum, and they sold out. Each one of them sold out within 3 days. There were 1,000 people outside. So I think what your co-host has said is like the girls, if they get sustained winning, the girls could have had 5 people in the gym back then, but now you can't. You got a team that's led the nation in attendance the last 5 to 6 years. So I think the guys have a lot. If they get it going, I think that Little John and the Colonial Life Arena could be filled up. So just wanted to show that out there.
Well, thank you, sir.
Good
We
show.
appreciate that. And Kerry, I'm sure appreciates your thoughts, and anybody talking about what he's doing. That's always helpful. That's always conversation, word of mouth, and people discussing what you got going on. That helps promote the event. So we're looking forward to having the captain on with us. the round mound. I never could come up. Charles Barkley was perfect. The round mound of rebound. And, Kerry, he's lost a lot of weight now, to his credit. Looks great. But there was a time there he was a little rounder, and I tried to come up with a name for him, the round mound of assist, but that didn't go well.
Yeah, he played the wrong position. If he were taller, it would work perfectly. But yeah, he was playing in the backcourt. But see, Hank illustrated my point, and I think he's right. There are so many basketball fans here in South Carolina that we just don't get a chance to, get out and show up and cheer on. But still, winning breeds attendance, as the South Carolina women's program has proven. And I think he's right. And, if both the big boys on the block would start winning at a much more consistent level, we could turn in, I wouldn't say overtake as a football state. We'll always be a football state, but we could certainly make basketball not something to do from the end of football season until spring practice starts.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, break coming up here on Sports Talk. Morgan on the move on the other side of that. Also, we'll have our Around the Horn segment tonight with Chris talking about various things in the world of baseball. We got recruiting coming up, as we mentioned. The captain, Kerry Rich, in hour number 2, and more of your phone calls. We're back in a moment here on Sports Talk.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. We'll cool down to 73 overnight with some showers still in the area, but the main threat of Elsa is completed. Some morning showers still possible for tomorrow, our Friday high temperature hitting 92. For the weekend, a 30 to 40% chance of showers with high temps both Saturday and Sunday in the lower 90s. I'm Kevin Cohen with your On Point local weather.
Hi, this is Jennifer Coolidge. The American Heart Association says the disco song Stayin' Alive is the near-perfect beat for hands-only CPR. If you see a teen or adult collapse from cardiac arrest, you only need 2 steps to help save a life. Call 911 and push hard and fast in the center of the chest to the beat of the song Stayin' Alive. Disco is back and it's saving lives. To learn more, go to heart.org/hands-only-CPR.
Nationally supported by the WellPoint Foundation.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters in Washington. Pfizer says it is about to seek U.S. authorization for a 3rd dose of its COVID-19 vaccine. The company said Thursday that another shot could dramatically boost immunity and maybe help ward off the latest worrisome coronavirus mutant. Research from multiple countries shows the widely used COVID-19 vaccines offer strong protection against the highly contagious Delta variant. But virus-fighting antibodies naturally wane. Pfizer says early data from a company trial suggests people's antibody levels jump after they get a 3rd dose. But the filing doesn't mean 3rd doses would be rolled out anytime soon. Public health officials would have to decide if they're really needed. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 259 points. The Nasdaq dropped 105. The S&P lower by 37. This is SRN News.
Let's see. Have you walked around your own home lately? I mean, it is your most valuable financial asset. Have you spotted any cracks in the home's foundation? Now, if you have, don't panic. You call TerraTech instead. Why am I so comfy recommending TerraTech? Well, they check off all the boxes that matter to me. First, they're local. They're family-owned in the Midlands for more than 38 years. More than 10,000 homeowners, just like you and just like me, have trusted TerraTech to restore their homes. TerraTech combines their collective experience of over 150 years of professional service in the foundation repair industry, along with utilizing state-of-the-art products and solutions. TerraTech fixes foundations. They also repair or build retaining walls. They install French drains, and they offer free inspections and repair quotes. They stand by their work, and they can be trusted with protecting your home. And hey, if you don't want to take my word for it, they're also A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau. Find them online, TerraTechInc.com, or call TerraTech 791-8888.
Hey, I'm State Representative Chris Wooten.
And I'm State Representative Micah Cassidy.
Join us on Wednesday mornings at 9 a.m. on The Rep.
We'll talk about everything that's happening at the State House and give you an insider's perspective.
All from the General Assembly. So join us at 9 a.m. on The Point, 100.7 FM or 1470 a.m.
Hi, this is Michelle Arnold, your host for Travel Buzz, every Monday from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. on 100.7 The Point. We're here to make your travel dreams a reality. That's Travel Buzz every Monday morning at 9 on The Point.
All South Carolinians are now eligible for the COVID-19
Dad, you're going to get the COVID-19 vaccine, right?
Nah, I don't think so.
Why not?
I think the vaccines were made too fast. Who knows what they put in that stuff?
Dr. Johnson, and he told me the vaccines are safe and effective.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, Dad. I need you to stay healthy. So can we look into the vaccines more together?
Sure. Anything for you, sweetheart.
Visit scdheck.gov/vaxlocator to find a vaccine location near you.
Is that crack in your windshield or your house bothering you?
Have you been meaning to have it replaced but just can't find the time?
Call Absolute Glass, voted Lexington's best glass shop for 12 years in a row.
We repair and replace glass on all makes and model.
We're the only local high-end auto glass specialist in the Midlands, and we'll come to you to make the process quick and easy.
With new technologies and vehicles, we can recalibrate your vehicle back to new.
Visit AbsoluteGlassInc.com to learn more about our auto, home, and business glass services. Just remember, if you can see through it, we can do it.
Hey, it's Jay with the Melting Pot. It's time to start making plans for summer. And what better place to sit down and plan out all of your summer excursions than a 4-course meal at the Melting Pot? We start out with cheese, melted cheese, and all the dippers, then salad. Then you cook your own meal right at the table in a fondue pot or a grill. And then our glorious chocolate fondue for the 4th course. You can sit for hours and talk about all your summer excursions. The Melting Pot.
We are back on Sports Talk Media Network here on a Thursday night. Appreciate you joining us. More calls coming up. 888-898-2525, South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number into Sports Talk. Recruiting coming up in a little bit. The round mound of pound. Kerry Rich. It's best I could do.
You might want to fly that one past him first.
The round mound of pound, as in pound you on the court. He'll be with us 7:30. Talk about the South Carolina Pro-Am basketball event that once again he'll be putting together and operating here beginning next week here in South Carolina. So we got a lot of great stuff coming your way, and that includes our weekly visit from Mike Morgan here on Sports Talk. Morgan on the move. As Mike joins us, he's at a busy stretch of the summer as he is visiting with a number of shows. He's hosting a morning show on Sirius XM, so you have to pay for that to hear him. You get him free from us because he's brought to you by Stuart Wingo of Ameris Mortgage. Save thousands on a refi or new mortgage today, 803-319-1777. So how does it feel to have people subscribe to hear what you have to say?
Well, first off, round mound of pound, boy. I tell you what, if I'm Kerry Rich, I might want to take you out to the woodshed and give you a little pounding of my own.
Well, I can't find anything that goes well with assist that has round and mound in it.
Use dimes instead. It's easier to say and it rhymes with more words. It means the same thing.
Okay.
So think about workshop that one. Something that rhymes with dime.
I'll think of that between now and 7:30.
Okay, you'll get it. You'll get it. You got a crack staff over there.
Yes, we do.
Sirius XM, I mean, a lot of your audience already has Sirius XM. They might listen to a million other things with music and Howard Stern or whatever else. But yeah, we've been doing the morning show on 374, the SEC channel, just chopping it up with the likes of Aaron Murray and Chris Doering and others. It's amazing. Like this time of year, one way or another, you can get 3 hours of football talk. It's just that's what we each and every day. It's breaking down somebody's top coaches polls in the SEC, or somebody talking about the quarterback battle at LSU. There's always something now that we've hit July, and that's a good thing.
Yeah, it's the SEC. I mean, they can keep. Listen, this is a league that keeps up with the annual voting at their SEC media days and ranks those polls or ranks. They have rankings for what happens at media days. They've turned media days into like a regular season football game for them, the way they treat it.
Well, and I'll tell you what they've done with that too. And I don't know if you still go every year. I know I used to, and you and I would do a lot of those late shows and watch everybody packing up at the lovely Galleria Mall and Hoover. But now you don't even have to go because the whole thing is televised on the SEC network. And it's like a 4-day infomercial for SEC football when you watch it. If you're jonesing for football, it gives you something to tune into, because what else are you going to, are you going to listen to a couple of people screaming about LeBron James, who's not even playing in the finals for 2 hours, 4 hours every morning? A lot of your audience, a lot of the people that watch the games that I broadcast, they could care less. But if you start talking about some college football and some SEC football, they are on board, brother. So we're not too far away from that, and that's, for me, that was always the kind of the official start of college football.
Yeah, absolutely. That and July 4th for me, the 5th is usually the start. The arrival of the Phil Steele magazine or the Athlon magazines. That's when you really start to zero in on it, and it's going to be fun to be back at the ballparks and have people there, and hopefully in-person interviews with coaches. Hopefully, we'll do away with Zoom. So we had a Zoom with Frank Martin yesterday, and he thought when this thing was set up that we'd be there in person. He said he was looking forward to having us over at USC in person, but once again, they did it by Zoom. So maybe, and I do know from the emails I've gotten from the SEC, and you're getting the same ones, they're not going to allow full capacity, full attendance at SEC Media Days in a couple of weeks, and they're not going to give you access to players and coaches like you used to. You can't walk around with your cameras and follow them everywhere. So they're still being very cautious when it comes to allowing the media have access, in-person access to their people.
Yeah, I don't know if we're done even post-pandemic with Zoom call coaching interviews. And again, I don't know if the average person in your audience or my audience even cares, because at the end of the day, they're watching the game. As long as you and I get the information that we need from the coaches, maybe it's not a big deal. I don't know. I mean, I'm like you. I prefer to be there in person. When I travel for a football game or basketball or baseball, I mean, one of the joys for me is to go to practice, to watch the team and speak to the coach while the team is working out, while they're practicing, and having that type of rapport and getting that type of information. You don't have that now. You didn't have it last year. You go on a Zoom call. Yeah, of course you get some information. It's still a Q&A session or format, but it's not quite the same. So I hope that that's not permanent, but the cynical side of me says, I don't know if the coaches really want to see all these media types in person. I mean, let's face it, some of them don't shave, they don't bathe well, they don't look good, they don't feel good.
Well, I'm going to agree with you. I'm really sometimes embarrassed to be in this profession based on the way some people look that work in this craft. Now you guys at ESPN and Fox, you've all got fancy tailors, and you've got a stipend for your clothes, and your hair is always nicely done. But think about the writers think about your boy from Arkansas who sits up at the front row and asks the first question of every coach. You know what I mean?
Holt. Mr. Holt. Yeah. I think if there's an all-time, he is the Henry Aaron of all-time SEC Media Days questions. Yeah. And you notice I didn't mention Bonds because much like Aaron, Holt is not juiced. He never took steroids. I think one look at his body, and that's pretty obvious. So,
but the coaches love him. I mean, they expect to get the first question from him.
They do. I mean, and he always delivers. He's always got 5 of them ready to go in his back pocket. And by the way, I do not have a clothing allowance. I have a Brent Skinner allowance, but that has nothing to do with ESPN. I have to go ahead and write the old check just like you do, Phil Kornblut.
Yes.
When you buy that 12-pack of golf shirts at the local Costco. Same type of purchase.
Yes, nothing like previously worn golf shirts to
Yes.
add to your wardrobe. Mike Morgan on the move. I try to get the ones that do not have underarm stains.
That's good. Yeah,
left behind.
That's good.
Before we move on, how about a quick word here on the Bravos? They won yesterday, off today, lost 2 out of 3 in Pittsburgh, still below 500. All-Star break is coming up. Shuffling people up and down. Got a new catcher back there in Lucroy, who did okay for him yesterday. I mean, are they going to turn it around after the All-Star break, get hot, and win the division again, or the Mets too good?
Well, I think what's saving Atlanta right now is that they don't play in a great division. If they played in the NL West with the Padres and the Dodgers, that's the kind of division that they'd be chewed up right now the way they're playing. The NL East is not particularly strong. The Mets are a good team. They're not a great team. And so, yeah, I think they could still make a run for the division. I think overall, big picture wise, they really miss Mike Soroka. He was the true ace, and they don't have one right now. Whatever money they saved on Mark Melancon was not worth it. He probably would give you at least 5 or 6 more wins than you had. The bullpen has been not good, and then you just have a couple of holes in the lineup. So every time this year you start hearing about trade deadline deals, and there's 27 rumors, 26 of which have no chance of ever coming to fruition, and one of which may come to reality. So I'm not expecting just an absolute blockbuster deal, but I am expecting them to try to make a move to do something, because I don't think right now, the way this roster is constructed, that you're looking at another division championship.
Mike Morgan on the move with us here tonight on Sports Talk. Mike, kind enough to join us during the middle of summertime, and we can talk Braves for sure. And one thing about Major League Baseball, Mike, I wanted to get your take on this. Jacob deGrom announced yesterday that he was not going to participate in the All-Star game, despite being the only member of the Mets selected for the All-Star game. What's your takeaway, big picture-wise, in terms of players who do elect to sit out the All-Star game?
Well, I think if you're Jacob deGrom and you've already flirted with disaster. I mean, there's been a couple of times where it looked like he was going to have some significant time on the disabled list. That's not good for him. That's not good for the Mets. And quite frankly, that's not good for baseball. The All-Star game has taken on less and less significance. And Jacob deGrom is one of the few guys, I know I speak for myself personally, one of the few guys, when he is pitching, I will go out of my way to turn the TV on and watch. There are very few pitchers that I'll do that for. There are plenty of hitters. I'll watch Fernando Tatis. I'll watch
Aaron Judge.
No, not Aaron Judge.
Whoa, wait a minute. You won't stop and watch Aaron Judge? So you're just being mean now. Come on, every baseball fan will stop and watch Aaron Judge.
No. Well, first of all, I'd be happy if Aaron Judge could, go a month without getting hurt.
He has not been hurt this season. Thank you very much. Knock on wood.
Secondly, I've got Ohtani over there in Anaheim hitting 30-something home runs. I've got Tatis, who's one of the most exciting players in the game. Why am I getting pumped up about Aaron Judge?
He's got 20 homers. He's batting .280. He's got the best arm in right field in baseball. He's a 5-tool guy. He's handsome as heck. He plays for the Yankees.
Yeah, 5 tools, huh? Okay. He's not Tatis. He's not Ohtani. I can name about 5 other guys he's not. But hey, he plays for New York. It's amazing that New York is having such a mediocre year with having Aaron Judge. What's going on there? What are we going to do?
Well, I mean, we have had a problem scoring runs up and down the lineup this year.
Yes,
that's been a bit of a problem.
Judge and Stanton and. Yeah.
There's
Remember
time.
Those 2 guys?
There's still time. There's still time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Good luck with that. But you've got some really young, exciting players. And I think if Ohtani played on the East Coast, and for that matter, if Tatis did, everybody would be talking about those 2 guys. But they're in San Diego and Anaheim, and most people are asleep when they're hitting home runs and doing all the great things that they do.
On your college football podcast, JC and Morgan, you had Phil Steele on. Phil referenced him a couple of minutes ago to chat about the upcoming college football season. I'm curious from his perspective, what things did he say to you guys? And certainly want to encourage listeners to check out your podcast. But what things did he say that may have surprised you about either Clemson, South Carolina, or the SEC and ACC in general?
Well, there's nothing surprising about Clemson that he has said or anybody else. Clemson is part of that the oligarchy that is in college football. That there's 5 teams that continually are terrific and are playing for high stakes, and Clemson will be one of them again this year. That them, Oklahoma, Ohio State, and Alabama. It's like clockwork right now. So there's not a whole lot of interesting things to dissect with them. They're just really good and really talented again, and there's nobody in the ACC that appears to be a legitimate threat. In terms of South Carolina, he did have some pretty surprising, optimistic things to say, talking about the offensive line, the defensive line, and, of course, the running backs. He pointed – Phil is like a robot. You guys know. He's got those rankings for every unit and every position out there, and it's a very objective, just nuts and bolts type formula. And when he puts it in the old Phil Steele computer, he likes what Carolina has on the line and in the backfield. And look, if you have those 3 things, you can pull off some upsets, right? So if they even get decent play at the quarterback spot, then I think, what was the over-under? Some people had it at 3.5.
Yeah.
I think if those things go the way they're supposed to, the over would seem like a pretty good bet.
Yes, they're going to win more than 3 games. Okay. They're going to win.
There. I'm with you.
They're going to win 5. And then,
okay.
if they get to 6, okay, 5's there. Well, look,
right.
You should, if you're South Carolina, you should beat Eastern Illinois. You should beat Vanderbilt. You should beat East Carolina. You should beat Troy. Okay. Those are your 4 shoulds. All right. Now you got 8 other games to get at least 2 to get to 500. Now they're capable of beating Kentucky at home. So that would be your 5th win. And then, you know what?
How about Tennessee?
Beat Tennessee. Absolutely. You can beat Tennessee.
Okay.
So, there's 6 wins out there. And I think if they get 6 wins, go to a bowl game, win, make a good representation, they should be satisfied and consider that a major building block for the future. This season's about, if you're Shane Beamer, it's about getting through it, getting your feet wet, your new staff, you're all together for the first time, just getting through this season with a 500 or slightly better record. No, you're going to take some beatings along the way, but maybe you can pull an upset off somewhere. Well, any win over anybody in the SEC not named Vanderbilt will be considered an upset for South Carolina.
Yeah. The way I look at it, you've got a number of rebuild jobs in the Eastern Division of the SEC. That's why there's been a number of coaching changes, right? I think the litmus test for Carolina football progress, I would measure them against Tennessee. Where are both of those programs in 3 years under Josh Heupel and Shane Beamer, respectively? And that's what I'd be aiming for. I'm not thinking about Georgia right now. I'm not thinking about Florida. I'm not thinking about Bama and A&M. I'm thinking about stay ahead of Vanderbilt. I'm thinking about try to leapfrog Kentucky, even though Kentucky's had one of their best stretches now under Coach Stoops. And I'm thinking Tennessee has been an unmitigated disaster for the better part of 15 years. Why don't we now? The time is now to go ahead and leapfrog Tennessee for the long haul and see if that program can do it. And again, they both have new coaches. They both are coming in a situation that's a clear rebuild. I'd love to know 3 years from now, when you and I are having this conversation in 2024, where is Carolina football going to be and where is Tennessee football going to be?
Yeah, that's a great comparison. That's a great comparison. And not really in too many times would you say the South Carolina program has been equal to or ahead of Tennessee. But I would say at least over the last 10 years, it's been pretty equal footing. South Carolina having the upper hand primarily under Spurrier, losing that grip under Muschamp for the most part. And now they're both going to go through rebuilding. You know as well as I do, the team that can define its quarterback and get above average to excellent quarterback play is going to take the big first step.
No question. You know, and I don't know if Doty's the answer, and you know better than I who's waiting in the wings on the recruiting path for that program. And, you know, of course, there's a Manning brother out there who's going to be certainly in the conversation for both Ole Miss and Tennessee when the time comes. Who knows how that's going to wind up and what kind of NIL deals are going to be struck and all kinds of crazy
They're
things.
talking about this guy making, like, I saw somewhere some guy said that Arch Manning could make $10 million in college. One of the financial experts, one of the sports business people said he could make 10 mil.
It's going to be insane. It really is. Because again, with football, unlike basketball, wherever that kid goes to school, you've got him for 3 years. That's a program changer if you get a kid like that for 3 years. And there's going to be others like that. And you hope one day a guy like that grows up right in your backyard and you're able to land him. I mean, when I look back, and I've talked to JC Sherwood, JC, much like yourself, covers recruiting and was knee deep in that for a while, nationally speaking. That run of all those great players, so many of which came right out of Rock Hill, the Lattimores, the Clowneys, and you add an Alshon Jeffrey and you add a Stephon Gilmore and all, they all came out right there in the state of South Carolina around the same time, and Carolina was able to land the overwhelming majority of them. But you had to know that wasn't necessarily going to be the case forever, right? That crop of talent, which you would know better than anybody, might be one of the best of all time, right? You can't depend on that. So you've got to be able to recruit. When I look at what appears to be the recruiting strategy from the current staff, let's make some inroads up north. Let's make some more inroads. Georgia's always been a good state for the Gamecocks, and just continue to expand the footprint, and then hope that at some point you have one of those monster 2 to 3 year runs where there's some elite talent out there again, right there in your backyard, and at least get your fair share of them. Obviously you got Clemson right there, but at least be competitive with those guys and take it from there.
Well, if you're South Carolina this summer, you cannot complain about what you've done in recruiting, as they've moved all the way from the 80s. If you subscribe to the rankings and pay attention to that stuff, they've moved all the way from in the 80s to as high as number 12. And they have been one of the biggest movers in college football this summer. And they've gotten some quality players. They've taken a couple of flyers on some local guys, and why not? They might turn out to be excellent players, but they've also gotten some guys that they had to beat SEC and high-level ACC teams for. So they've got to feel really good, because right now, what can you sell if you're Shane Beamer? You sell your personality, you sell hope for the future, you sell your facilities, your city, and your university. They can't say, hey, come to play for us and you'll be in the college football playoffs for 2 or 3 years out of your career. They can't really say that right now, like the people they're competing with. Some of them they're competing with.
Well, you can sell playing time, which is always going to be huge, and you could sell the fact that you can do something here that hasn't been done. They still have not won an SEC championship. They haven't beaten Clemson in a while. You can sell all those things. I think a certain kind of kid loves that kind of challenge and loves being a part of something that hasn't been done either in a long time or ever. And that's to me what you sell. And Shane, when it comes to just having an overall aura about him, positivity, and the ability to go into a young man's living room and kind of sell him on the program and what you can do there, that's the right guy to me. I mean, there's no question about that. Now, after that, then you got to get results on the field. Then that staff has to be able to produce that. The development of players. For a while there, it might look more like a developmental program as opposed to your typical SEC powerhouse in the way of talent. But you got to develop them, and then you've got to out scheme some opponents, and you got to be able to win some close games. And of course, we know all those things were missing quite a bit the last few years in Columbia. So, I think it's going to be turned around. How dramatically, I don't know, and how long it takes, I don't know. But I do think you'll see a program that certainly will be on the uptick in the next few years.
Now, what time are you on in the morning?
8 to 11 on Sirius XM,
see,
FCC 374.
Nothing good happens before 11 o'clock, so I'll miss you. But
well, I don't expect to hear you or to have you listen. You can listen to the replay. I think they replay it throughout the day. So,
I'll wish
when
you well.
Stroll out of bed at 11:30 and you have your assistants there throw cold water on you and grab a cup of coffee and take a look at the grass and pay somebody $20 to cut it, then you could go ahead and listen later. For the average person who works for a living and gets up early and sends their kids to school, they can tune in while they're in their car.
What a service you provide to America. It used to be just Columbia was blessed to have you. Now America. You're America's voice.
It's all about the red, white, and blue. And, of course, it's all about the kids. But as I always like to say, I'd give it up all tomorrow for a life without crime.
There you go.
Or a city without crime, like Atlanta, for example.
Or a new suit.
Or a new suit for Brent Skinner,
There
yes.
you go.
I'd give it all up for all those
And
things.
in
the meantime,
a new mortgage with a low rate.
Well, one of your lucky audience members is going to do that today and save themselves a lot of money. And I tell you what, you and I will take them out to dinner after they do it because I'm just in a good mood. Of course, I know I'll have to pick up the check. 803-319-1777. Stuart Wingo.
Just ate up the whole half hour. We'll be back.
By the way, before we do what's supposed to happen here, thank you for pushing the button. I thank you. Programming thanks you. America thanks you.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, fireplaces. Summer sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point.
Breaking news this hour from townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters. One Republican senator is calling President Biden's plan to complete the withdrawal of all U.S. troops from Afghanistan a disaster in the making.
President Biden has confirmed he will, in fact, bring U.S. operations to a final end as scheduled on August 31st. The news didn't go over well with Senator Graham, who tweeted that while the U.S. may have a set deadline to end the war, quote, Al-Qaeda and ISIS don't have deadlines when it comes to attacking American interests. The South Carolina senator describes President Biden as being, in his words, consistently wrong on the war on terror, and tweets that the Afghanistan decision may prove to be what Graham calls his biggest mistake yet. Bob Agnew reporting.
A federal judge in New York has sentenced California lawyer Michael Avenatti, who is a familiar face on CNN, MSNBC, and the three major news networks during the Trump presidency, to 2.5 years in prison. Correspondent Jennifer King has more.
Michael Avenatti rose to fame representing Stormy Daniels in 2018 lawsuits against former President Donald Trump.
Americans deserve to know the truth about their elected leaders.
His political aspirations evaporated in 2019 when prosecutors charged him with fraud, saying he was enjoying a celebrity lifestyle while cheating clients out of millions of dollars and failing to pay his taxes. Now he's been sentenced to 2.5 years in prison for trying to extort up to $25 million from Nike by threatening the company with bad publicity. In a statement, former client Gary Franklin Jr., the Los Angeles Youth Basketball League organizer, said the lawyer's actions devastated him financially, professionally, and emotionally. The judge wrote that evidence showed Avenatti devised an approach to Nike that was designed to enrich himself rather than address his client's objectives. Avenatti faces a separate trial next year in Manhattan. Stormy Daniels has alleged he cheated her out of hundreds of thousands of dollars from a book deal. I'm Jennifer King.
On Wall Street, the Dow down by 259, the Nasdaq dropped 105, the S&P lower by 37. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Tell me why Relief Factor is so successful in lowering or eliminating pain. I'm often asked that question. Pete and Seth Talbot, the father and son founders of Relief Factor, tell me they believe our bodies were designed to heal. The doctors who formulated Relief Factor selected the 4 best ingredients, 100% drug-free ingredients that each help your body deal with inflammation. Order the 3-week quick start now. Discount it to only $19.95 to see if it will work for you too. Call 800-500-8384. ReliefFactor.com.
Dan owed an unbelievable amount of money to the IRS.
I got behind on my taxes. It's a horrible feeling.
Dan turned to Optima Tax Relief, the leading tax resolution firm who put his problems to rest.
They got the job done, and life is good.
Call Optima now for a free consultation.
Stop worrying. Make the call now.
Call 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433.
Optima Tax Relief.
For details, visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
When all is said and done, it looks like the death toll from last month's condominium collapse in Florida will be significant. The latest from the media lines, Felice Friedson.
As the rescue effort at the scene of the apartment building collapse in North Miami Beach officially becomes a recovery effort, the media line has learned that a significantly greater number of bodies than was previously believed has been claimed from the rubble. 140 souls were lost when the southern building of Champlain Towers collapsed, trapping victims beneath tons of rubble. No survivors were found. Officials said on Thursday that 80 bodies were retrieved, but Commander Golan Vach, head of the Israeli National Rescue Unit, said more were located, and it's a matter of days until all are accounted for. He's been quoted as believing survivors are still possible. I'm Felice Friedson, Town Hall News, Jerusalem.
News and analysis at themedialine.org and townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. We'll cool down to 73 overnight with some showers still in the area, but the main threat of Elsa is completed. Some morning showers still possible for tomorrow, our Friday high temperature hitting 92. For the weekend, a 30 to 40% chance of showers with high temps both Saturday and Sunday in the lower 90s. I'm Kevin Cohen with your On Point local weather.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, fireplaces. Summer sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point. Please press button now. No, number one.
Welcome back to Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network. You can reach the guys with the South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number, 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now back to Phil, Chris, and Pat with the second hour of Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network.
And thanks again to Mike Morgan for being with us here on Sports Talk. Morgan on the move, always delightful to have Mike with us.
I'm not sure if we were guests on his show or he was a guest on our
That's
show.
a good
I'm still
point.
trying to figure out those last 30 minutes, which were phenomenal, by the way, and really enjoy it when Mike comes on the program. But it's almost as if he's the host of the show and you and I are just
he would
sitting here to guide him down the street.
He would certainly prefer it that way. If he had his druthers, he would prefer it that way. All right, we got a lot to get to. Just a moment, we'll have recruiting. And then Around the Horn with Chris Bergen with a lot of great stuff there. Had a chance to meet with our good buddy Alex Satterfield today over
Super
at
guy.
Farm Bureau in Irmo, and a former USC baseball player. He was on that USC team that went to the World Series in 2012, lost to Arizona, and then on the team that played in Chapel Hill. So he was one of those guys that went in the transition from Tanner to Holbrook and went to a World Series and had a chance, came so close that next year. They went to the Super in Chapel Hill and got beat in 3 games. And, boy, what an athlete he must have been coming up in high school in Lawrence. He went to Lawrence Academy and was a baseball player, a football player, played in the Skeeza North-South All-Star game as a quarterback, as a senior, and looks the part. I mean, he's got to be about 6'3", maybe.
Yeah. And if memory serves, and this has been a long time ago, I believe, though, at those Lawrence Academy, or other baseball teams he was on, if I'm not mistaken, I think he started with them on the varsity level when he was in the 8th grade.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how talented Alex Satterfield was, and I guess probably still is. He may have lost a step or two.
He's a big outdoorsman. He tells me. Now, the thing about him, he won't mind me sharing this, I guess. His career was cut short by arm injuries to the same arm, his right-hander. He told me he first broke a bone in his forearm, I think it was. Then he had Tommy John. Then he had a bad labrum. So the injuries progressed up his arm, and it cut short a promising career.
Mm-hmm.
But he's a bow hunter. He loves to go bow hunting. Yeah, he loves to go bow hunting. He's got a nice deer hanging on the wall there in his office. Have you seen it?
I have not. I have not been to his office.
Yeah, got a lot of antlers on that deer.
And
which
he
I
took
guess
that down
is
with a bow.
no, it was a rifle.
Okay, I was bow hunting. I know is a very good skill. I've never been able to try it, but I've heard it takes a lot of talent.
He has a picture of his wife with him in the office there, and they're both in hunting fatigues, and she's a hunter, and she's taken down a bear before. He said,
wow.
"Yeah." I said, "All right, well, we know who wins arguments in your house. She's a bear killer. You got to watch yourself."
So keep that in mind if you go to Farm Bureau Insurance and check in with Alex Satterfield. Stay on his good side.
That's right.
That's all I can ask.
Don't bring up Mrs. Satterfield, or you might be in a lot of trouble. He, by the way, said he's not related to like Marcus Satterfield, the USC OC, or Jimmy Satterfield. Different group of Satterfields up there in the Lawrence area, I guess. So Satterfield's a very popular name in the Carolinas, though, especially in sports. A lot of Satterfields. A few other notes, and then recruiting. Wofford football coach Josh Conklin announced that Tyler Carlton is joining the coaching staff as quarterbacks coach and co-offensive coordinator. He'll share offensive coordinator duties with running backs coach Dane Romero. Carlton spent 5 seasons on the coaching staff at Western Carolina. In 2019, he was co-offensive coordinator, and prior to that, he spent 4 seasons at Clemson working under Chad Morris. Another step for Wofford to commit itself to the spread game, especially with Wade Lang retiring, and really getting away and putting the triple option offense to bed forever at Wofford. Not forever, but under this coaching regime.
Well, you're seeing it at Georgia Tech. They realized it was really difficult to win at the major level when you're playing that option offense. I just don't think it translates to the new era of football, but it will be strange to watch Wofford do it and change over to the spread. Coastal's in the Sun Belt with Georgia Southern, and watching them go away from the triple option attack and try and throw the football. It's strange seeing these traditional running schools try and make the transition out to the spread game. And it takes a lot longer, I think, to first off change the mentality of fans that this will actually work for us. And then you've got to start changing the mentality of high school recruits who have only seen you run the football, 50, 60 times a game. So it's a tremendous uphill climb, I think, for schools that have relied so heavily on the ground game for so many years.
Coastal Carolina baseball coach Gary Gilmore has been named one of 7 to be inducted into the American Baseball Coaches Association Hall of Fame. It will be in January of 2002. ABCA made that announcement today. Gilmore just concluded year 26 at his alma mater, 27 and 24. 1,250 career wins overall, 1,000 career wins at CCU, 24th all-time NCAA D1 with 1,254 career wins, and is 4th among all active coaches. So another great honor for Gary Gilmore. Poll question of the week: what will the Gamecocks do in September? 567 votes. Got a day left to get your vote in. And let's see, who's the climber here? Well, 1 and 3 has gained some momentum. 9.2% of the votes now have the Gamecocks going 1 and 3. 47.8 have them 3 and 1. 36.5, 2 and 2. 6.5, 4 and 0. 4 and 0. And riding strong. They go 4 and 0. Look out. This town will be burned down. The Olympics will not have spectators. A spike in COVID-19 cases in Japan. And the very, very heartbreaking, sad news that somebody we know very well, Coastal Carolina football coach, former Coastal Carolina football coach, and most recently and currently the athletics director over in Lexington School District 5, is it? The one over there with River Bluff and all those. Yeah. Anyway, his wife, Melanie, has passed away after a lengthy bout with cancer. And, boy, that's just heartbreaking. And feel terrible for David Bennett because, I mean, who doesn't like David Bennett, and who I didn't know his wife except to say hello and his boys. But man, you just feel terrible. You, of course, much closer being over there with Coastal and knowing them. So I know that's a note that hits close to home for you.
Our show has sucked the last couple of nights, if you want to be quite blunt, Phil, with the passing of Eddie Payne, former South Carolina assistant, USC Upstate head coach, Oregon State as well. And now tonight to learn the news of Melanie Bennett passing away. It's been a hard week. It really has for people in sports and surrounding sports here in South Carolina. And our thoughts and prayers and sympathy certainly go out to the Bennett family. I remember, and I'm like you, I knew his wife just to say hello. But one of the great pleasures I had when I was in the Upstate working with Presbyterian, before PC went Division I, of course, they were D2 in the South Atlantic Conference, and where David Bennett really cut his teeth and earned the shot to begin the program at Coastal Carolina was when he was the head coach at Catawba College up in Salisbury, North Carolina. And so PC played them every year. And one of the great joys I had is each week we would chat for our pregame show with the visiting team, the opponent's head coach that Presbyterian was playing that week. And I always circled and looked forward to the Catawba week to be able to chat with David Bennett, because if you've ever heard him speak, he is a captivating public speaker. You understand why he was so successful as a coach, because people just gravitate to him. They want to be around him. And I always enjoyed getting a chance to chat with him and then watching his team beat Presbyterian by about 25 points every time because they were so good. I mean, he had them so well skilled.
Yeah.
But just sad news here the past couple of days.
Well, you got to remember, too, that, look, David Bennett started the Coastal Carolina program from dirt. From dirt. When he got there, that's all there was. It was dirt. And there were drawings and there were concepts and there were ideas and there were dreams. But basically there was dirt. And he started that thing from that and built it. And don't forget how successful he was. And along with that, of course, his family had to, give up a lot of long nights, a lot of long weeks, a lot of long months as he was off building this program from dirt. And so they shared in the glory that was the success of that program as it came. And
it must have been fascinating for you to follow recruiting when David Bennett was taking over that program and get information about players who were pledging to go to Coastal, knowing that there was no football program that they were at that point in time to which they could commit.
Yeah.
He brought in an entire recruiting class for just to get them better and in the weight room, so the next year he could bring in another recruiting class and actually field a football team.
Yes, exactly. And they did a great job. And, it's just, again, the point I'm making here is that his wife, he was the first head football coach of Coastal Carolina football ever, and that can never be taken away. And she was the first lady of Coastal football, and that can never be taken away. So, Coastal fans, they owe a lot to the Bennett family, to David Bennett and his wife and the whole family for what they contributed and what they sacrificed to where this program is today. And I'm sure if you asked Joe Moglia and if you asked Jamie Chadwell, they would tell you that a lot of the success they're enjoying now that Moglia enjoyed and that Chadwell is enjoying now goes back to the roots that David Bennett put down for that program.
Oh, no question. You can still see some of his fingerprints on the program now, even to this day, 18 years since it began. I think that's right, going into its either 18th or 19th season as a football playing school, but never easy to build a program. And he built it rapidly, too, because it did not take them long to become a pretty solid team at the FCS level. He never could quite get them over the hump in terms of, not just conference supremacy, but it's certainly at the FCS level. But part of the problem is no matter who you are, you still got to maneuver your way through North Dakota State. They weren't going anywhere, and Joe Moglia found that out too. But, you can still see some of the impressions that David Bennett left on the put in place and left on the Coastal program even now.
All right, going to hit a break here on Sports Talk. We'll come back and give you recruiting, take you around the horn in baseball. The captain, Kerry Rich, coming up at 7:30 and talk about the South Carolina Pro-Am basketball, I guess you call it basketball tournament, basketball event coming up this month. That's coming up. Don't go away.
Hey,
Hey, folks, mortgage rates have dipped to their lowest levels in recent history. And with home values up in many areas, now may be the perfect time to refinance your home. Whether you're looking to lower your monthly payments, free up cash for home improvements, or just pay off your home faster, a quick call to the one and only Stuart Wingo of Ameris Bank could save you money. If you're looking for competitive rates and exceptional service, call Stuart Wingo. 803-319-1777. That's 803-319-1777. You will save money just like I have so many times over the years. You can also visit him, amerisbank.com/Stuart Wingo. Stuart Wingo, the man with the plan for all your mortgage needs.
We understand how important it is to have transportation you can rely on. So no matter what the road ahead brings, we'll be there, offering you and your family the support that's made Farm Bureau Insurance a trusted name for nearly 70 years. You deserve more. You deserve a promise. Learn more at scfbins.com.
Call Buddy Bridges in Lawrence County at 864-923-2174, covering Lawrence, Clinton, Joanna, and the shores of Lake Greenwood.
Enjoy life to the fullest with tasty peanuts that pack a lot of flavor. When it comes to eating peanuts, the research is clear. Peanuts improve your health. Peanuts, a snack that gives back. Crack some open today for a nutritious, sustainable, and earth-friendly treat. Be sure to stop by your local grocery store produce section to pick up a bag of roasted in-shell peanuts. Brought to you by the South Carolina Peanut Board. Visit aboutpeanuts.com for delicious peanut-based recipes.
Hi, it's Phil with longtime attorney Jim Corbett. You do car wreck cases?
And truck wrecks, any serious injury cases, and work injury.
How about when grandma's wills change right before the end or someone spends all their money?
Oh, yes, and business lawsuits.
How about problems with insurance companies?
All the time, like after a fire or when a life insurance claim is denied.
JimCorbettAttorney.com has your email and phone number?
That's Corbett with an E, www.JimCorbettAttorney.com to email or call me to mediate, try, or settle your case.
Founders Federal Credit Union knows your life is busy and your money is important. We're proud to offer local personalized services and convenient online services like Founders Online and the Founders app. You'll love being with us as much as we love serving you. Visit RelaxJoinFounders.com or one of our more than 30 locations to see if you qualify for membership with Founders Federal Credit Union. Relax with Founders. Service requires credit evaluation. Terms and conditions apply. Founders Federal Credit Union is federally insured by NCUA.
Life, it has its ups and downs. Sometimes it's little things like hitting every red light or dropping your cell phone. Maybe it's the bills, rent, or pressure at work. But when it comes to the South Carolina Education Lottery, you should never feel like playing will solve everything. The lottery is a game. It's played for fun. So set a dollar amount. Expect not to win and make sure responsibilities, family, friends, and work come first. Visit playresponsiblysc.com.
The future of golf is waiting for you at the Players Club. Rain, shine, or after dark, you can enjoy the game of golf anytime at Columbia's Indoor Country Club. The Players Club delivers the most realistic golf experience and offers more than 90 championship courses. Play or practice with the same state-of-the-art full-swing simulators used by Tiger Woods and Jordan Spieth. Visit maincoursesc.com to book a bay and become a player today at the Players Club, part of the Main Course, 1626 Main Street in Columbia.
Time for the recruiting report brought to you by Seawells. Hey, tomorrow is your last chance of the week to enjoy that delicious luncheon buffet at Seawells. Now, listen, take me up on this. If you haven't had a chance to get out to Seawells for the buffet, then you're only hurting yourself. Okay. It's delicious and it's well priced and it's convenient and it's very safe, even though, people are vaccinated, I guess, and things are safer than they were. They've been safe from the get-go. I mean, they worked their way through COVID by having a plan and by executing their plan and carrying it out extremely well. So tomorrow, 11 to 2 for the delicious Seawells Daily Luncheon Buffet. And, of course, the best in the catering business, that, too, is Seawells. Check them out online, SeawellsCateringSE.com. Give them a call at 803-771-7385. and still need a parking spot for USC football, they have those for you as well. Very convenient. If you know where Seawells is, it's just across the state fairgrounds from the cockpit. That's right. That's right. I called it the cockpit. You don't like me? Well, you don't like me or you don't like it. Meet me in the parking lot. Like
That's
K-Mac.
actually a you problem. Yeah, that's a you problem. I like that nickname as well.
Well, a lot of people are calling it Willie B. Willie B's not bad. That can kind of grow on me. Sounds a little softy. I like cockpit. Come into the cockpit.
That's Founders Park.
What is?
The cockpit. That's Founders
That is
Park.
not Founders Park. Nobody calls Founders Park the cockpit.
Most of the students do.
Well, you're a bunch of idiots. There's nobody calls Founders Park the cockpit. Not a single breathing USC grad, student, fan calls Founders Park the cockpit. Except for you.
I've heard different.
No, it is not the cockpit. Chris, it's not the cockpit. The cockpit is the football stadium.
And actually, probably if you're going to use the term pit, it's got to be down in a hole at some point.
Yeah, it's not even a pit. Anyway,
would Colonial Life Arena be closer to a cockpit than even the football stadium?
True that. 803-771-7385. So, USC going after, of course, four-star corner Traquan Fagan, 6'2", 181, Oxford, Alabama. And USC's one of 5 left on his board. He announced this week USC, Alabama, Georgia, Oklahoma, Miami. That's heavy competition. But Fagan says the Gamecocks deserve to be there off his official visit the end of June. He loved the atmosphere, the coaches, the players, his time down there. And he said it's a place I can see myself living for 4 years. He said they kept it real with him. He really liked that. The whole time he said they did not tell him stories, no lies. And he said that stuck out to him. Torian Gray is recruiting him for South Carolina, remaining in touch. And he likes Torian Gray, feels like he'd be a great resource for him, could develop him to get him to the next level. And he knows, of course, the other 4 schools, they're all, they've got national championship trophies. USC doesn't. But his decision won't be based on what a program has done in the past. It's more about the road ahead. He says it's relationships and what I see for the future. I can see myself at South Carolina. They are on the come up and turning the program around. In June, he also took an official visit to Miami, unofficial visits to Florida at UCF. He also camped at Alabama. He does not have any visits planned for the last week of July at this point. He wants to make his decision no later than August. Clemson target cornerback Dalen Everett of IMG Academy has set his commitment date for July 17th. Clemson, Georgia, and North Carolina have been his top 3. Everett made an unofficial visit to Clemson in early June. He took official visits last month to North Carolina, Georgia, and Florida State. He also took an unofficial visit to North Carolina. He's rated a 4-star, number 7 corner nationally, number 7 prospect in Florida, but he's a native of Norfolk, Virginia. The feeling is Clemson or North Carolina here. Feeling is maybe a little more towards North Carolina, but Clemson won't sweat it too much because I guess they feel like they're going to get the Jaden Lucas kid from Malden, who is an equally highly thought of corner, but they love to have them both. Clemson target linebacker Demario Tolan of Orlando committed to LSU today. Another Clemson target, defensive end Jeremiah Alexander of Alabaster, Alabama. There goes that Alabaster. Now, he committed to Alabama, that Alabaster. He's going to Alabama from Alabaster. Clemson was in great shape for him. After visiting Clemson, he came in the first day of June, the first day you could visit. And after that, he told us that Clemson was his favorite. But he's the number 1 player in Alabama. But Clemson has taken the number 1 player out of Alabama before, away from Alabama. Remember a guy by the name of Justin Ross? He was number 1 player in Alabama, and Clemson beat Alabama and Auburn and others on him, but not this time. Alabama wins for Jeremiah Alexander. 3 USC targets are set to announce their commitments tomorrow. Chris will be all over this. I will be traveling. You ready, Chris?
I am. I'm excited. I'm going to stay up all night. Phil told me earlier that tomorrow and all next week he wants me to be him. So I know you don't sleep much because of recruiting. So I'm trying to get into that mold.
You and Finn can have some quality late night time together.
No, that dog loves to sleep. So my guess is I will not have much company on that regard.
Cornerback Nakia Martinez of Apopka, Florida, will make his decision known at 3 o'clock on the USA Today network. See, all these networks, all these websites, they are trying to beat each other out to get these players to announce. Let me tell you guys something. It ain't that big a deal to get them to announce anymore. We started that years ago. I can say that we were among the first, maybe the first, to have kids announce live on air. It was a thrill back then. It ain't so much a thrill anymore. But anyway, you do what you got to do. 3 o'clock on the USA Today network, which is a bunch of newspapers, which will stream now. He's down to USC, Florida, and UCF. Running back Ramon Brown, 5'11", 202 of Midlothian, Virginia, at 5 o'clock. CBS Sports Network HQ. He has USC, Penn State, Virginia Tech, West Virginia, and Maryland, his final group. And cornerback Chris Graves, Fort Myers, Florida, 6 o'clock on CBS Sports Network HQ. Finalists USC, Florida, LSU, and Miami. So there's been no early welcome home shout out from Shane Beamer. So he doesn't know that any of these are coming his way yet. Or if he does, maybe they've told him not to put out anything. I don't know. Don't have a feel really 100% on any of them. I don't think anybody really does. South Carolina's in the hunt. I asked somebody kind of where South Carolina was with these guys, and the best I could get back was, sort of 50-50 with them. So we'll see. And USC target defensive end Davin Jackson of Sumter is going to miss his senior season with a torn ACL. He tweeted that this afternoon. He was a standout in a camp performance at USC, earned an offer from the Gamecocks. He plans a return trip on July 31st with a cookout. He made officials in June to Coastal and Syracuse. Sorry to hear that for that young man, because he has really put the work in to earn his offers. And we'll be back after the break.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. We'll cool down to 73 overnight with some showers still in the area, but the main threat of Elsa is completed. Some morning showers still possible for tomorrow, our Friday high temperature hitting 92. For the weekend, a 30 to 40% chance of showers with high temps both Saturday and Sunday in the lower 90s. I'm Kevin Cohen with your On Point local weather.
Is that crack in your windshield or your house bothering you?
Have you been meaning to have it replaced but just can't find the time?
Call Absolute Glass, voted Lexington's best glass shop for 12 years in a row.
We repair and replace glass on all makes and models.
We're the only local high-end auto glass specialist in the Midlands, and we'll come to you to make the process quick and easy.
With new technologies and vehicles, we can recalibrate your vehicle back to new.
Visit AbsoluteGlassInc.com to learn more about our auto, home, and business glass services. Just remember, if you can see through it, we can do it.
Got to support the alma mater still, I guess.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters in Washington. Tropical storm Elsa is carving a destructive path up the East Coast after killing at least one person in Florida and spinning up a tornado in Georgia that flipped recreational vehicles, tossing one of them into a lake. One person was killed in Jacksonville, Florida, when a tree fell on a car. Elsa gained strength Thursday afternoon across North Carolina. Was expected to pass near the eastern mid-Atlantic states by tonight and move near or over the U.S. Northeast on Friday. Tropical storm warnings extended up the coast from North Carolina to Connecticut amid warnings Elsa could cause considerable flash flooding in the Northeast. Numbers in the red on Wall Street today. The Dow down by 259 points. The Nasdaq dropped 105. The S&P lower by 37. This is SRN News.
Dave Ramsey here. Do you want your money to work for you rather than you working for your money? Go see my friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union. They're not a mega bank and have been serving the Midlands since 1936, offering good old-fashioned customer service and free services. They'll look out for your financial well-being. With 14 locations, check them out today at palmettocitizens.org. Federally insured by the NCUA.
Oh, good, you're home. I need your help.
Doing what?
Replacing our old light bulbs with these new energy-efficient LEDs.
Where did you get these?
Dominion Energy. I ordered direct from their online store. LEDs for every room, all at huge discounts.
Oh, really?
Yes, really. And my 15 bulb order got us free shipping.
Sounds too good to be true.
See for yourself at DominionEnergySC.com.
Where?
DominionEnergySC.com.
Certain restrictions apply.
So your home is your castle. I work hard all day. My reward is time at my home with my family, living comfortably. I don't want to worry for a moment about bugs and pests. I've had Palmetto Exterminators taking care of my home for 19 years. Now, that's a long time without worrying about pest control or infestation or termites, and that's because Palmetto Exterminators takes care of it all. Might not matter to some people, but you know what it does to me?
Sunday.
They're family-owned. They've been doing this the right way for over 60 years. The staff is courteous. They're clean. They're totally professional. And you know, it's termite season. Palmetto Exterminators offers a free inspection. They'll customize a program to fit your needs and your family's budget. They offer a lifetime warranty with their termite agreement. Now, I speak from experience. Like I said, 19 years with the same company. I can't give a more glowing recommendation than the one I proudly give to Palmetto Exterminators. Online, palmettoexterminators.net, or call my guy, Ron Byers, 254-5833. That's 254-5833, Palmetto Exterminators.
Fran Halloran here. What am I looking for when I make a recommendation to you? I'm looking for integrity, ethics, intentionality. When it comes to your mortgage needs, Greg McCoy from Simplified Mortgage Solutions needs to be your only call. There are plenty of national mortgage companies with fancy names and fancy schemes out there. Don't be fooled. Simplified Mortgage Solutions will meet or beat any national lender's proposal. Greg is local, and I love local. Born and raised in the Midlands of South Carolina, Greg will treat you as if you are his only client as you go through the mortgage process. Simplified Mortgage Solutions specializes in conventional, VA, USDA, and FHA mortgages. They can do it all. I trust them, and so can you. I've worked with Greg for a while now, and everyone I've referred to him has thanked me after the fact. Online at simplifiedmortgagesc.com or just call Simplified Mortgage Solutions at 803-722-6044. That's 803-722-6044, and tell them the Money Coach sent you.
All right, going to talk some basketball with Kerry Rich coming up in just a moment. He's actually in Birmingham where his son has an AAU tournament. We're going to let him preview and promote the upcoming South Carolina Basketball Pro-Am that begins a week from Sunday at Heathwood Hall in Columbia. Before that, though, before we go around the hoop, Chris, we go around the horn.
And we do so every night here on Sports Talk, presented by Farm Bureau Insurance. Check out in the upstate Buddy Bridges at the Lawrence County office at 864-923-2174. Also, Alex Satterfield in the Midlands. Do what Phil did today. Go by and say hello or give him a call at 803-749-9171. Quick update on some of the minor league baseball standings around the area we'll get to in just a couple of moments. But found this interesting, Phil. CBSSports.com, in preparation for the upcoming baseball amateur draft, has produced a list of the 4 most polarizing players in the 2021 Major League Draft. The one that caught my eye immediately, though, was right-handed pitcher Kumar Rocker of Vanderbilt. And you would think, as good as he has been and his stock as high as it is, why in the world would he be a polarizing figure? Well, here's what CBS Sports had to say. Rocker, the most famous player in the class, has earned that distinction in part by striking out 19 batters in a no-hitter against Duke back in the 2019 postseason when he was 19 years of age. Rocker has since wrapped up his storied career at Vanderbilt, finishing with a 2.89 ERA and a 4.72 strikeout-to-walk ratio in 42 appearances. So how then, you may ask, does such an accomplished performer find himself on a list like this one? Well, a reasonable explanation has Rocker's prominence working against him in a sense by leading to overexposure. Teams have been dissecting his game for more than 2 years now, giving them ample time to key in on and magnify his blemishes. We covered many of the perceived negatives to his game when we ranked, same CBS Sports did, as the number 8 prospect in the class. He's as physical as they come, and he possesses one of the draft's best chase pitches in his trademark slider. His mechanics, specifically a high elbow and off late arm, are worrisome as it pertains to his command and durability. Rocker should still go in the top 10, and there's a chance he makes the skepticism look misplaced in due time. I am not a major league scout, Phil. I've seen this kid pitch for a couple of years. He looks like a no-miss prospect to me.
Yeah, I mean, don't outthink yourself when it comes to this stuff, because you'll think yourself right out of a great pitcher. And I mean, yeah, you never know with a baseball career which way it's going to go, but he certainly has all the intangibles and the tools, the tangibles and the intangibles from what I've seen.
Quick update on some minor league baseball around the state. The Charleston River Dogs continue to play some extremely good baseball. They beat Columbia again yesterday. They have got one more matchup with Columbia coming up tonight. They are 38-16 now and have opened up a 10-game lead on the Fireflies in the Low A East-South Division, just ahead of Augusta and Myrtle Beach, sort of bringing up the rear there. Meantime, in the High A East-South Division, you've got the Greenville Drive, sitting now 7 games back. They lost last night. They've got another matchup coming up this evening against Aberdeen. And right now the Boston Red Sox affiliates is 29-27 on the season, again 7 games back of first place Bowling Green in the High A East South Division. And that's a quick trip around the horn presented by Farm Bureau Insurance. Alex Satterfield's office in Columbia at 803-749-9171. Meantime, Buddy Bridges in the Lawrence County Upstate office, 864-923-2174.
Yeah, great folks. Glad they're part of Sports Talk, and appreciate them being a part of our Around the Horn segment every night. Now we head to Birmingham, Alabama. Speaking of round ball, we talk some round ball with our good buddy, the captain, the guy that we gave a start in radio to here on Sports Talk, the captain, Kerry Rich. How are you, sir?
Hey, I'm doing wonderful, and you're exactly right. This is where I got my start, and it's always good to be back, my friend. I hope you're well.
Yeah, I remember us working together, our afternoon show, and you were just fantastic, but you wanted to get better. You'd say, Corn, what can I do to get better? I'd say, well, when I was coming along, broadcasters would tell me, put a pencil in your mouth and talk with a pencil in your mouth to learn how to talk better. Yeah, put a pencil in your mouth. Not down your throat. I'm talking about across.
No, I understand.
Yeah. And talk with a pencil in your mouth. And I found that to be handy. And also singing. I found singing in the car. Did you ever take me up on any of my advice?
I did. That's why I'm still around. I'm still doing radio. Thank you so much for the insight.
People ever ask you, like, Kerry, why are you walking around with a pencil in your mouth, huh?
Well, I didn't necessarily take that advice, but I did a lot of singing.
Yes. Well, that's right. You always have a song in your heart, Kerry. No question about it. We go way, way back in a lot of ways. I can't believe now your sons are old enough to be playing AAU basketball. What do we have? Who do we have coming up? We got to keep an eye on.
Yes, my son is. I'm actually in Birmingham, Alabama right now with my son. He's a rising junior over at Spring Valley High School. Was a starting point guard as a sophomore, and now he's playing for the Upward Stars organization. And I think we have two more tournaments. One in Omaha, Nebraska next week, and we'll close it out with the tournament in Rock Hill. And very nicely and respectfully said, as much as I enjoy being his father, as much as I enjoy supporting his dream, I'm really looking forward to this thing coming to an end here in a couple of weeks.
Because of the travel? Because of the travel?
Because of the travel. Certainly it's very expensive. But I'm not really one that enjoys being in the gym all day as much as I love the game of basketball. If my son plays at 1 o'clock, I'm entering the gym at 12:55. If the game ends at 2 o'clock, I'm out the door at 2:05.
Yeah.
So it's just, AAU is a lot different. And it's a different atmosphere, it's a different environment, and very respectfully said, I'd rather enjoy it or experience it from afar.
Yeah, that's right. Well, you've been down that road before. You know what it's like. And, I mean, Is it hard for you to kind of, as a guy that played the game and played it well, it knows how it should be played and coached, to kind of sit back? Are you able to hold your tongue, I guess is what I'm getting at here. Are you able to sit back and just keep things to yourself?
Absolutely. I don't say a word. I kind of sit um, in the corner away from uh, everyone as much as I possibly can. But I don't say a word. As a matter of fact, my voice is not even strong enough to be able to say anything so that my son hears me. But you know what the most difficult part for me when watching my son is naturally he's C.J. Rich Jr., he's Kerry Rich Jr., so because of my presence in the basketball world in the state of South Carolina, there's going to be an expectation, and he'll probably never live up to that expectation. And we live in such a cruel society and very judgmental society. And, with social media, everybody has an opinion, and unfortunately, those opinions aren't always positive. So that's the one thing that I've tried to prepare him for since he started playing. And I said, you know what, a lot of people are going to, once they find out who you are, they're going to assess you. They're going to evaluate. They're going to scrutinize everything that you do, and it's probably not going to be a fair evaluation. So what you got to get used to is being able to block out the noise and just creating your own path. And that's the one thing that I've tried to encourage him to do, Phil. Just create your own path, not your dad's path. Just go in and create your own path, and I'll support you or whatever you're doing. We'll see. You'll see how far your potential takes you. But without hard work, commitment, sacrifice, then we'll never see. But if you do those things, then you give yourself a chance.
Well, that's true. And anybody that knows you and knows your story knows the success you've had every step along the way, whether it was playing basketball or being on the radio, or now what you're doing in the Columbia community, working with the city of Columbia and parks and recreation, and you got your hands into so many different things, a lot of it voluntary, trying to help kids in the inner city to find their way, find their path. And then one thing that you started, I can't even tell you how many years ago it was, that's just a sensational hit, is this summertime South Carolina Pro-Am. And I know when you started it, you probably thought, yeah, this will be kind of neat, a little something to bring guys together. Maybe some folks will come out and watch. You can't shoehorn people into the gym now to watch this thing, right? I mean, it's packed every night these guys play, and you've got, I don't know if you got guys that call you up and say, hey, Kerry, let me in, let me in. Maybe you can't allow everybody in on a team because you're so full already. I don't know how that works, but just the popularity of this thing has been phenomenal.
Yeah, it has been. And we're actually in year number 9, Phil, year number 9. And when we first came up with the idea, actually it was Frank Martin's idea, because when he came from Kansas State, they'd had a really, really big pro-am out in that area where a lot of the Big 12 schools allowed their players to participate and be a part of it. And, he wanted to do something similar here in Columbia. And without the commitment from Frank Martin and his team, Brad Brownell from Clemson has also allowed his players to be a part of it. Mike Young, when he was at Wofford, we can go on and on. I've been in contact with Coach Dave Davis down at the College of Charleston. So, like, that participation, that commitment has allowed us to be around for 9 years. But I tell you what it's become, Phil. It's become a great community event. Mm-hmm. And I think the reason being is because it allows our community to see players up close and personal that otherwise they would not be able to experience such a thing in a very intimate setting. And they create an excitement, and that excitement has generated even more interest. And even being on with you, our local media has done a terrific job of helping tell the story and helping to grow the event. When we first did it, I never, ever thought that I'd be around for 9 years. But the one thing we wanted to do when we first started it, we wanted to see some of the players from the South Carolina program, come through, go through the program, ultimately live out their dream of playing in the NBA, and then coming back to be a part of the Pro-Am. And I go back to that year after South Carolina went on that Final Four run, and it was announced that Sindarius Thornwell and P.J. Dozier were coming back to the Pro-Am that night. It was packed, and it was just crazy. And just last year, not last year, a couple of years ago, South Carolina didn't have a great year. Normally, there's a connection, there's a correlation when it comes to uh, how their season fared and how that will equate to the interest or lack thereof regarding the pro-am. And last year, a couple of years ago, we didn't do it last year because of the pandemic, but even myself took a step back and I was amazed at the crowd. I was amazed at the excitement and, having a guy like John Morant to come, Darius Thorne with PJ Dozier, having a guy like Torrey Craig, who's now playing in the finals. Chris Middleton came a couple of years ago. And, I was even amazed at the crowd and the excitement and the level of interest that we saw that year in the program. And I think it will be the exact same come this year.
Yeah. True, genuine passion for South Carolina basketball. The captain, Kerry Rich, with us here tonight on Sports Talk. Upcoming, the South Carolina Pro-Am starts next weekend. And, Kerry, if you don't mind, give us the nuts and bolts as to how this tournament will work, players that you anticipate being a part of the Pro-Am and that type of thing, and how fans might be able to come out and watch.
Yes, it will be a three-day event, July 18th, 22nd, and 25th. What we've noticed by compacting it and making it shorter, it raises the level of interest. It raises the level of excitement. That's been a winning formula for us. And I know we'll have 90 to 95% of the South Carolina players. We'll certainly get some players from Clemson. We'll get some players from College of Charleston. It is a free event. And we'll play 3 games per day. It starts on July 18th, and I think we start at 1 o'clock. That day we'll have 3 games: 1 o'clock, 2:15, and 3:30. But we'll also have players from neighboring schools. This gives the guys from Benedict, from Claflin, from South Carolina State. I think we're getting 8 players from South Carolina State with their new head coach, Tony Matlock, the assistant coach from Memphis. There's a quick buy-in from them, and it gives those guys from Francis Marion an opportunity to play against players that they normally see on television. They see South Carolina Clemson guys on television. They see the NBA guys on television. This gives them an opportunity to also live out their dream. And for a long time, I've been stubborn enough to think that basketball still has a place in this state, even though football is a priority. And I will continue to kind of operate or exude with that mindset. And this is just an example with the level of interest and excitement that we've been able to generate over at the SE program. I'm looking forward to it.
It's outstanding stuff with Kerry Rich. And Kerry, I mentioned earlier in the program to Phil, I'm not sure there's a greater ambassador, and this is dovetailing off your comment from just a second ago, greater ambassador for high school basketball and the game itself in South Carolina than you. So when you go out and try and sell the product to people, not just in South Carolina, but across the Southeast, what do you tell folks about the level of high school basketball in particular here in our state?
Yeah, and thank you so much. It's funny that right now with where we are when it comes to my basketball events or anything that I'm involved in, I'm actually beyond having to sell it. I think, fortunately, there's a track record. There's a proven track record in place. There's a display of passion. There's a display of excitement that appears to be a part of that track record. So, it's so easy for me to sell it now, and it's just a phone call for me now to say, hey, this is what we're doing. And because we've done it the right way, I like to think, it's made it easier for supporters to get on board. And, basketball has been so good to me. I feel so indebted, and I just want to continue spreading the good word and hoping that we find another Kerry Rich who certainly had a serviceable career at South Carolina, wasn't the greatest basketball player, but you know what? The experience worked out for me. It allowed great relationships to be forged. It allowed an unbelievable platform, unbelievable access. And because of that, I feel obligated to continue to give back and go out and try to help young people live out their dreams of playing college basketball, just being their absolute best.
Kerry, before we let you go, I think we would be remiss if we didn't get a comment or a thought from you about the passing of Eddie Payne, former assistant to South Carolina. You didn't get a chance to play for him, but just I'm sure you ran into him numerous times throughout his career. Your thoughts about what he meant to basketball here in our state?
Yeah, he meant a lot to us in the state of South Carolina. He was one of the most well-liked coaches to ever come through South Carolina, and he was the go-to guy when it came to Columbia recruiting. Even though Coach George Felton was the face, he was the one with the relationships. But when it came time to, showing the players around and taking them on tours and actively recruiting those guys. He was the guy. And my story regarding Eddie Payne going into my junior year, we were at team camp, C.H. Johnson, and we'd had some success. We beat Eau Claire, we beat Keenan, which was just not the norm. You didn't beat Eau Claire and Keenan during the summer at team camp. It was a big, big deal. And with that team success, I was able to have some individual success, and it was Coach Eddie Payne that allowed me to have that moment of validation. My high school classmate and I still talk about it to this day. Coach Eddie Payne came and knocked on my dorm room door while we were at camp and said, "Hey, really enjoy watching you play." They came to every last one of my games, and he took me on a tour of the basketball facilities going into my junior year. And that was my moment of validation, saying, you know what? I'm no longer just a player from C.H. Johnson. I'm no longer just a player from the Saxon Holmes Project. I now have been identified as a prospect for the University of South Carolina. And it was Eddie Payne that initiated that contact. And he was the guy that recruited me while he was here at South Carolina before going on to become a head coach at East Carolina. Greatly missed, one of the really, really good guys in college basketball.
No doubt. No doubt. Before we let you go, from a pros standpoint, you got some committed guys you can tell us who'll be playing?
Not that I want to officially announce, because I wouldn't want something to come up in their schedules that preclude them from coming. But I'll just say this: over the last 4 or 5 years, we've had an average of 4 NBA players to come through every single year, and I'd be very, very surprised if we're not able to keep that up this year.
Well, I'm going to get out there to watch some of it, and we thank you for being with us tonight. Always great hearing from you. Let's get together for lunch real soon, and best of luck to you and your boys there at the AAU tournament, and we'll see you back in Columbia.
Thank you so much, Phil. Thank you guys for having me, and again, thank you so much for everything you've done in helping carry Rich along his journey. I'm forever indebted, and look forward to getting with you, my friend.
Well, we're just bros, man. We're just a couple of point guards making it through life.
Yes.
Kerry.
Thanks, Kerry.
Our pleasure, man. See you soon.
Thank you guys so much.
All right, man. One of the best, Kerry Rich. Fantastic guy. And you know what? I mean, he's got Clemson people that love him too. Clemson coaches and players. The guys from Columbia who went up and played at Clemson, he's close with those guys. And he's maintained that relationship with that staff, even though they know deep down he's a Gamecock. Maybe not even deep down. They know he's just a Gamecock, but he doesn't let that get in the way of his love of basketball and his ability to talk basketball with the Clemson guys and other coaching staffs as well. So we appreciate him taking time out, and hopefully that will help to generate more interest for the event. And many of you, I just had a guy text me asking where it's going to be played. Heathwood Hall. If you're not from Columbia, Heathwood Hall is located right off of I-77 and Bluff Road. Like you get off I-77, like you're heading to Williams-Brice Stadium. The Cockpit. They do not call Founders Park the Cockpit. I don't even know where you got that from.
Go, do you?
Anyway, you make a hard left. You come off 77. You start after you come back under the bridge there, whichever way you're coming off 77. You make a left to go to Heathwood. It's over there by the. Well, my kids used to call it the poo-poo plant. It's the water treatment plant over there. Yeah, you'll know it when you smell it. I can promise you that.
No doubt.
Let me hit a couple of golf things here real quick. We've got the one of the top amateur tournaments in the country being played here in South Carolina, the Palmetto Amateur at the Palmetto Course in Aiken, Palmetto Golf Club. 2 rounds are in. They were able to get their round in today. John Goff from Slough, England. He has a 6 under par total, 68-66. He is tied with Jake Hall of Knoxville at 6 under. He went the other way. He went 66-68. Jason Quinlan from Cumming, Georgia. 5 under par after 65 today. Hey, I wonder if he knows Oscar Delp. That's where Oscar Delp is from, Cumming, Georgia. I wonder if Jason Quinlan knows Oscar Delp and where he
Judging
wants
by one of the
Delp to go.
Yeah, one of the hash marks or hashtags for the Gamecocks has got over 2.5 million views or some ridiculous number like that. We want Delp.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure anybody from Cumming, Georgia knows who that young man is
Yeah.
at this point in time.
Jimmy Zing of Auckland, New Zealand. 71-66 at 3 under. And Brian Quackenbush from Aiken, 67-70. He's at 3 under. That's the top of the leaderboard. The PGA John Deere Classic, and it's Sebastian Munoz at 8 under after a 63 yesterday, and he is let me update this. 8 under, 63. What's today? Today's Thursday, right? I was thinking today's Friday. What'd I say? See, I'm leaving tomorrow, so I'm already thinking it's the weekend. Sebastian Munoz, 8 under, 63. Chesson Hadley, an 8 under, 63. All right, today's the first round. Duh. Hank Labita, he is 8 under through 17 holes. He's a Florida State grad. Hank Labita.
And played really well the last couple of weeks. He was in contention, if I'm not mistaken, last weekend as well.
Okay. Ches Revy.
Rocket Mortgage tournament.
Yeah. Ches Revy and Camilo Villegas, they are at 7 under. It's top of the board. Then we got Russell Henley continues to play well, 4 under, 67. Chris Baker's at 4 under. DJ Trahan's at 3. Lucas Glover's at 3. Kyle Stanley's at 3. Ben Martin's at 2. A lot of Tigers. Doc Redmond's at 2. Here's a Gamecock. Matthew Neesmith. He's at 2 under, 69. Scott Brown's at 2 under. Mark Anderson, who played well last week, 1 under, 70. Jonathan Bird's +1, and Bill Haas is +2. Jay Haas is playing in the U.S. Senior Open. I think he had a pretty good round. I don't have those scores in front of me, but I had seen earlier on television that he was among your leaders. All right, I am out of here for the next 6 shows. I hope to see 6 shows from now from Hoover, assuming everything goes well and we get to Hoover. Chris is set to go to Charlotte for the ACC. We got that confirmed today, and was just waiting on final confirmation on the plans from Hoover. So, Mr. Bergen, I leave it in the hands of you and Mr. Smith.
Oh, gosh, we'll try not to wreck the show over the next 6 days. Hopefully there'll be something for you to come back to when you get off vacation.
I have complete confidence that everything will be just dandy. I can promise you that.
As long as Brandon is there, we're going to be okay.
Yes, I feel good about that. Thank you, Brandon, for your great work, and Pat will be back as well next week. Thank you for being with us tonight here on Sports Talk. The guys will see you tomorrow night.
Someone will be right with you. The Point.